keep on trying. I'm about that life, never quit. I'm about that life, keep on striving. I'm about that life, keep on pressing. I'm about that life, keep on shining. I'm about that life, keep on dreaming. I'm about that life, never stopping. I'm about that life. I'm about that life. I'm about that life. You know, they say I'm dreaming. Yes, I'm dreaming. So what? I don't care. She's about that life. I'm about that life. It's a dream thing, y'all.
Today on About That Life, I sit down and talk to a talented actress, singer, and overall performer. She has appeared in commercials and TV shows such as Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23. She has taken on theater and starred in many stage productions such as Parade, Aida, Once on This Island, The Full Monty, and The Color Purple as the title role of Celie. She recently directed a production of The Little Mermaid Jr. She is a bundle of joy and fire, a true firecracker. Here is Gabrielle Jackson.
Gabby! Oh, I'm so happy to see you.
I'm
Thank you
very happy to be
so
here.
Yes, thank you so much for doing this. It really, really means a lot. You look great, by the way.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
we did not plan this.
Hello. We
It's
didn't
red
plan
and
to be in
green.
Christmas colors. They say blondes have more fun. I'm just trying to see if there's more fun to be had than I was already having.
Hey, I'm thinking not even Christmas when I look at you. I'm thinking Emerald City.
You know what? I'm ready for one short day. I'm ready for one short day right now. One short day in the Emerald City. Give me one.
And the wicked puns continue.
Okay.
So I want to go into how we know each other because this is my favorite part of the interview. Because on this show, I like to talk to friends and colleagues and people that I yearn to work with. We met, from what I remember, in 2017 at
Yes.
Teatro Martini. You take it from there.
Where your time will be sublime.
Oh my gosh. No, you did not. No, you did not.
Yes, I did. And I will continue to every time someone says the title of the show.
Wow, I forgot that.
Yes, your time will indeed be sublime.
Yes. Hostess with the mostest.
Yes, with the pepper grinder. Oh my God. What memories.
Right. You were a perfect Greta. For those who don't know, she played Greta. This was a dinner theater show that opened in 2015 and closed in 2020. And that's how we met.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, were you hired as a Greta first or as a Wanda?
I was hired first as a Greta because they didn't need Wandas initially when I was auditioning. I think it was you, and I think Jess was also Wanda at the time.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But they didn't need Wandas. And also, I don't think they fully understood like my singing voice yet. And like Wanda's more of a singing role.
Yes.
And so when I first auditioned for the show, I went in with television star Curtis. Isn't his last name Anderson? Curtis Anderson.
Yes.
Television star Curtis Anderson from Sabrina the Teenage Witch is where I knew him from.
That's right. We love him.
I love Curtis. Curtis, if you're listening, I love you. I think you're great.
Yes, truly.
He was such a joy and a light. And he initially, when I came in for the audition, I was coming in for Jinx, which also I thought it was because I'm an improv person too, and so I thought it would be fun to try that role. They were like, I don't think you're a Jinx, and I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, I just don't think you're a Jinx. And I was like, okay. So I went up and he was like, how tall are you? And I said something to the effect of like, I'm 5'4", but my personality is like 6 feet. And he was like, yeah, you're not a Jinx, you're a Greta. And I was like, okay, I don't know what that means, but like send me up. So I auditioned for Greta and then ended up like being the host, one of the hosts of this like dinner theater show. And it was super fun. It was like a blast. You got to like make dirty jokes with like a pepper grinder often and embarrass grown men at any point in time that you could. So that's the job for me. Innuendo and embarrassment.
You did it so well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because
I had
that, I
fun.
mean, the show, I've been to some pretty raunchy, dirty, sort of sexually driven dinner theater shows. Our show was pretty tamed, especially seeing how many iterations of it had changed over time.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were there for Toss My Salad.
I was there for
Okay, you
tossing
were.
salads.
Okay.
Yes. You put some lettuce in a bowl and you add some fresh tomato.
Yes, yes, that's right. Yes. And you came in like a storm, just a beautiful storm. Full
Thank
force,
you.
power and everything. I was like, this girl is hilarious. She's got
Thank
good
you.
timing. She can improv and she can sing. I mean, they should have given you Jinx because you pretty much were taking care of all the other roles and understudying them. So I don't
Yeah.
know what they were thinking, but okay, whatever.
Who cares? They signed my checks, girl.
That's right. And were you a Wanda when she was still a maid?
I was not a Wanda when she was a maid. I was
Okay.
only a Wanda when she was the stage manager.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
That was a good old time. Yes.
What a thrill. What a
Right.
thrill.
Yeah. And one thing I wanted to say about you that I learned very quickly is that you are intuitive. That was one of the things that I loved about you, but also it scared me
Ooh.
because I love people who can pull something out of you when you don't want to be vulnerable. I think it's a beautiful thing, but it's also like intimidating when you don't want to be vulnerable. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like you're like, oh no, this person sees through my facade.
Yeah.
And now I have to like let it go because they're not going to let me pretend
Yeah.
to be like, oh yeah, I'm okay, I'm good. Like, no, are you okay? Are you really okay?
Yeah.
And I love that about you. You can do
Oh,
that with your eyes.
thank you. Thank you. It's really only because I think I'm one of those people that often is like, I'm good. And then, we'll keep it pushing so I can tell when others are putting on that front, I think. I saw this thing. It was like a New Yorker illustration, and it was like a bunch of theater actors standing in front of a curtain. And it was
Mm.
like, now these people who have made a mess of their personal lives are here to produce a show just for you. Like, and
Wow.
it's very on brand.
Yeah. So, how would you label yourself, Gabby?
Ooh, okay. This is a great question. I would label myself, I think, as a multi hyphenate, discovering her qualifications. I've been an actor for the last, like a serious actor for the last like 15 years, I'd say. And I have been a writer for the last, I'd say four, like a serious writer for the last 4 years, and a director for the last year, just about.
Mm.
So I'm just constantly finding new things that I'm interested in and kind of pursuing them until their natural conclusion and as far as I want to take them. And if I was just packing up, there are wildfires going on right now. And I was just packing my clothes and stuff just in case like we have to evacuate because I live in Los Angeles County, but I'm pretty far out, so I'm pretty safe. And I was packing my stuff up just in case I had to evacuate. And it was so funny. I have a friend here who's hanging out with me while he's evacuated, and I found like a little songwriting book that I had from when I was like younger, like 15, 14, 15. And I was like, oh my gosh, I remember all these songs that I used to write. And it's just so sweet. Like, and I had like all these, you know, pieces of sheet music that I had written and stuff. So like I was really into music when I was younger. And now as an adult, I've gotten more into like, I think as a young adult, theater was like my main bag. But now as I've gotten older, I've realized that like I really love TV and film, and while I love acting, I love performing. It's something that definitely lights me up. I'm also like super on fire for directing and really excited about that. I've tried casting, not like a huge fan of casting. And yeah, so I'm really interested now in like the macro picture of a production versus, and I think I have always been, I just didn't realize it when I was like strictly an actor.
Right.
But I think when I describe myself as like a multi hyphenate and I allow myself to think of myself as, discovering my qualifications, I'm able to sort of allow the vision for my life and my future to expand rather than contract. So yeah, that's what I would label
Come
myself.
on. I love that. Absolutely. I love that you wrote your own songs growing up. I hope you
I
get
did.
back to doing that,
I did. I think I
Yeah, that's
will.
amazing. Yes, little songwriter you. What were your dreams growing up?
It's so funny. I wonder if it's here. Is it on here? It is. So when I was younger, I had I found all of my little notebooks and stuff. But when I was younger, I had this super cute bucket list. And as you can see, this is my bucket list here.
Marry my soulmate. Oh, win
Right, but
every major award.
right, play on top of the Chrysler building for New
I
Year's
love
Eve.
it. Oh, I
Like,
love the Tiana and Princess and the Frog. That's great.
isn't that so pretty? Yeah, I know. I
Oh,
was obsessed with them
perfect.
when I was little. But yeah, I was like, I wanted to hug Beyonce. I've never hugged her, but I've gotten very close. She did bump into me once, and she told me, "Excuse me." It was beautiful. It was
Whoa,
before
whoa,
she was like
whoa.
Beyonce, but
Oh, okay.
it was a really
Okay.
wonderful time.
I
But
was
yeah,
like, when was this?
I wanted to live in France, live in Italy. But at the bottom, you can see direct a movie is
Yep.
on there.
Mhm.
So when I was little, I had a lot of varied and exciting dreams.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of the things that I dreamed about, I have been able to do, which is really fortunate. Not everybody, I think, can is fortunate enough to be able to say things like that, and so or to have participated in a lot of the things that I've been able to do. So I'm very fortunate in that. But I had a lot of really big, splashy dreams. I think if I were to sum it up, I would say my dream when I was younger was to live a vibrant, splashy life.
Mm.
Just live well, live brilliantly.
Yeah, well, that's a good plan. And you can still do it because you're already
Hey,
doing it. So hey.
yeah, yeah.
I think that's great. I wish I had written in a journal back when I was younger to just go back to those things. I do have like a list of shows or plays that I wanted to write, and I've been going down that list
Yeah.
periodically because I write. But I love that you had a dream journal.
You know what? I've always communicated with myself best via the written word. I've never not had since I was really little, even I think in kindergarten, my grandmother, one of my grandmothers bought me this diary that had a lock on the side of it. And
Mhm.
so I've always felt really comfortable and confident in expressing myself via the written word, and particularly expressing myself to myself. And I don't know, did you read the little princess diaries when you were younger? Not Mia Thermopolis, but
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about?
yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking
And I
about.
was I was positive, Taj, that someone at some point was going to find my diary and also publish it as a novel. So
That's
I've always written in my diary as though someone was going to find it,
yeah.
which has translated as an adult into me being able to really explore my own insights and be able to I'm not writing obviously someone's going to find my diary anymore, but I do write I'm gonna find it. I date my pages and make sure that I have I leave myself sort of like a paper trail to return to myself every now and again if I need to.
I love that. I'm gonna start doing that
It's great.
immediately.
Right.
what what drew you into the performing arts? Was it a movie, TV show, or even a school play?
You know what? When I was, how old was I when this happened? I think I was 13 or 14. My mom, she knew who she had on her hands. She was like, yeah, this one, some about her. And my mom, since I was really little, um, we actually moved to California, A, because my mom wanted to move to California, and also B, because she was excited to support me having a career in the performing arts if that's what I wanted to do.
Mm.
When I was little, I did a lot of commercials. I had like an agent. I was always taking headshots, but we lived in Colorado. So it was difficult. It was tricky to go back and forth all the time, particularly when I had more like lucrative commercial shoots and stuff like that. So eventually my mom was like, "Hey, do you want to do this?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And so we moved to California. She was very supportive. Um, and then I think I was like 11 or 12 when I was like, "Hey, everybody thinks because I'm an actor that I am not really crying when I'm very upset." They're like, "Oh, the camera's always rolling," was something that everybody would say to me, like, "The camera's always rolling." And so I think I was 11 and I was like, "I actually don't want to act anymore because I want to be allowed to have real human emotions. Thanks so much." Very mature thing to decide. And so I was like, "I don't want to act." And then I think I was like 12 or 13, and my mom was like, we were sitting at home. I can't remember why she decided to do this, but she was just like, "Have you ever seen Bye Bye Birdie?" I was like, "No, I've never seen Bye Bye Birdie." She's like, "Never seen Bye Bye Birdie?" It's like, "No." So we went to Blockbuster. This is dating myself. Is how old I am when
It's all
Blockbuster.
good. I love me some
I
Blockbuster.
love Blockbuster. Okay.
Don't shade Blockbuster ever.
I wish we still had a Blockbuster, girl.
Thank you.
Wish we still had a Blockbuster.
Ugh.
Um, but I went to she took me to Blockbuster. She got me Bye Bye Birdie, West Side Story, Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, and I feel like there was one more. But we got these musicals and we spent a weekend watching musicals. And when Anne Margaret took her little arms and went, "Doo, doo," I was like, "Oh, doo, doo." I was like, "Oh, I like this." And then from that point on, I was like a musical theater girly. And it was perfect because it was right around the time that High School Musical was like starting to come out. And so
Mhm.
I was already primed and ready. And then High School Musical came out, and I was like, "Oh, I live for it." So Anne Margaret and Bye Bye Birdie but West Side Story also is my favorite movie musical, and those two, Bye Bye Birdie and West Side Story, both really inspired me.
Wow. I
Yeah.
love that. I love any movie musical that can pull you into that kind of a genre, truly.
Mm-hmm.
Same way about watching The Sound of Music. That's my thing. That's actually one of my favorite movies. If I'm having a terrible day, I want to watch Sound of Music. So I love that that the West Side, not the West Side Story, West Side Story did that for you. And I did not know
Yeah.
you were a child star. Excuse me.
Was she a child
Excuse
star?
me.
Because she turned out very well adjusted.
That's true. Maybe you're not a child star then.
They're having trouble. I'll never claim it. And I'm actually, you know what? So when I was in high school, I started booking a lot, like a lot of work. And the last thing I think I like booked at that time was like Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23. And
Oh.
every now and again, my clip will go viral on social
Oh my
media.
goodness. I
And I'm
need to
like, "Ooh, I'm
see.
gonna get a little $10 check from ABC."
Come on, residuals.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. No, I really want to see your commercial reel. I really want to see this now. Do you have one?
I do from when I was really,
Okay.
really little, though.
You
When I
better
was
send
really,
it to
really
me. I
little.
want to see this now.
It's
I
like
didn't know we
focus on the
were.
family. That's what it is. It's like focus on
Oh,
the family.
I love it. That's amazing though. That's so cool that that you broke out in commercials at such a young
Yeah.
age. Do you ever get tired of show business?
Yes.
Mm.
Unequivocally, yes. I get tired of show business when show business is racist. I get tired of show business when show business is sexist. I get tired of show business when show business shows me that it will not and cannot love me in the way that I love it.
Mm.
I think oftentimes now, because different people have a hold of the reins, right? There are a lot more opportunities that look a lot different than when I first got into the business. And even since 2020, some things, not everything, but some things certainly have changed a little bit. But I think that's why I actually stopped wanting to be solely an actor and kind of got into the other spaces and started exploring more of other work that could be done in theater and then subsequently in television and film as well. Is because I started a nonprofit in the middle of the pandemic on accident. Whoops. Whoops. Don't do it. I wouldn't recommend. And when I started the nonprofit, originally it was like I thought we were going to be able to do a lot of good. I thought there was a lot of change to be made. I was very optimistic. And as time went on, I was like, oh, people don't give a crap about actually making systemic change. People care about optics, people care about money, people care about publicity, right? And the opportunity to look as though they might maybe someday change at some point, maybe down the line, maybe, right?
Mm.
And so that is the show business that I personally am tired of. I'm tired of show business that is showing for the business of things, right? I'm tired of the show business that wants to put me on show for the business, okay? Because I'm Black and a woman, and I have a strong voice and a strong mind. And so people I find are very excited to like put me up front. Oh, look at our Black baby. Like, I don't, it's true, girl. Laugh if you want to, but that's the truth.
I'm
Look at
sorry.
my Black baby. Like, that's
Oh
really
my
the way they
God.
be rolling me out. Okay.
Ooh.
Okay.
She coming with them. She
It's
coming with them.
true. It's
You
true.
don't hear me debating.
Okay. Because I know
I'm
they're trying
just
to get up
laughing.
front too. Okay. But it's true. They will trot me out front and be like, look at us. We have a Black person. And I'm like
Hmm.
standing right there. And before I was like, oh my gosh, this organization really freaking values me. They think, no, girl, they don't value you. They value what you can do for the brand. And so I'm like, oh, other people see my value. Other people see my skill set, my intelligence, my drive, right? And recognize that I'm good for their brand. What if, go with me here, I made my own brand and decided that I was going to be my own thing and decided that I was going to be good for my brand, good for my business, good for my thing, right? And I am in the business of show business, right? But I am not in the business of show business in the sense that I'm out to exploit and underserve people. I am in the business of show business in the sense that I am here to expand our world through my artistry, right? I'm here to expand the vision of our world through my artistry, right? So, yes, to answer the original question, I do get tired of show business all the time, but only when show business treats me in ways that are unbecoming of a lady. Mm,
Mm.
mm.
Oh, I love talking to you.
I'm glad.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what it was like since day one working with this person right here.
Truly. She
Oh
won't
my
shut up and
gosh.
she's a lot of
No,
fun.
no, but you don't take any shiz.
I don't. I certainly don't. And I think everybody knows that about me. I think that by this point, everybody has gotten the memo. Gabby's not going to take nothing from nobody. Not
No.
taking nothing off of nobody.
So, can you remember how many productions you have starred in roughly, and what was your favorite show that you've ever done?
My favorite show that I've ever done was Once on This Island, but not the actual show itself. I mean, I love doing the
Mm.
actual show itself.
Yeah.
Love doing the actual show itself. Thought the show was amazing. It was directed by Rufus Bonds Jr.,
Hmm.
Broadway's own Rufus Bonds
That's
Jr.,
right,
who,
Lion King. Hello.
right?
But what?
And if Rufus is listening to this, Rufus needs to know that he's always been a huge inspiration for me as an actor, as a director. I think he's the bee's knees. It was choreographed by Yusuf Nasir, who is an Academy Award nominated choreographer. He's
Oh,
lit.
great.
I love,
Fun.
good for Yusuf. Yusuf is doing well. And at the time, my body was snatched. Okay, body by Yusuf. Body by Yusuf. He snatched me right up during Once on This Island. My body was cut, baby, cut. So Yusuf, if you're listening, I'm ready to take a dance class. He had us working, but the show itself was great. I loved, and it was like where I met my little sister, who I absolutely adore. It was where I made a lot of really great relationships with other Black artists because it was an all Black cast. And it was all sorts of Black people across the rainbow spectrum. It was like all kinds and all sorts and like all shades. It was beautiful.
Mhm.
And I understudied the lead in that,
Great.
Timoon, who Timoon is like, I feel like when you meet a role that is like you're very spiritually connected to, I felt so
Mhm.
spiritually akin to that character, Timoon, and was devastated I never got to play her on stage. Um, but it is what it is, you know. I look,
But hey, let's hit on that a little bit because you were in one of the final callbacks for Once on This Island for Broadway, right?
yes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yes,
Let's
I
uh, let's
was.
let's hit on that.
Yeah, I was. I got called back a lot for that show when it went to Broadway. And I think life in general is often can be, if you allow it to be, a collection of disappointments, right?
Yes,
And if you allow it to be, it can also be a collection of joyful moments, right? And
exactly.
being able to share my gifts with the wider world is always a joyful time. And Michael Arden looked at me in my face and was like, "You are incredibly talented," and said some really wonderful things that made me feel like I could keep going for a long time. And that was really great. And so I was in callbacks for that. And, you know, that was a real, it's always just, it's so hard, right? Because this business, that part of the business, right? When you're an actor, A, you're on the front line of a production, right? The director is able to move how the director needs to move, but the actor at the end of the day is the one whose body and work will be judged most, you know? And also as you're getting work as an actor, right? Like you are putting yourself up for judgment of your vessel, judgment of your talent, judgment of your skill sets, right? Just judgment all day long, right? And so you're kind of faced with these, I don't know, you're faced with a lot of, I don't know, you're just faced with a lot of rejection. And it was, I don't think I had a super healthy relationship to that rejection.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had a really unhealthy relationship to that rejection, and it felt more personal, definitely, than it ever should have. And so I allowed those moments to turn into, you know, a collection of disappointments as opposed to a collection of opportunities to share my gifts with the world. And so I think I think the world can kind of smell that on you too when you're like, you know. So that was hard. But as far as like shows I have been in, I was in The Color Purple.
Yes, you were. I was like, I was waiting for you to say if that was one of your favorite roles because you played Celie.
I did play Celie. Again, another one of the times where I felt like, you know, that was a really hard experience. That was a really difficult experience because I think in a role like that, the person who has that role should be the most talented or is viewed as being usually the most talented person in the cast. And I'm an excellent actor. I'm a good vocalist, but I'm an excellent actor. Um, and connecting the two is somewhat like it's where I kind of am able to do good work. But I was not the most talented person in the cast. And when you're in a cast of like older Black folks, that can be a tricky position to be in. And so there was a lot of contentious energy.
Mm,
And also it was my first leading role. So I was coming out of like being a chorus girl. So, you know, you're like allowed to goof off when you're in your tree number two. You know, you're allowed to
mhm,
goof off and do your own thing. And you know, nobody's really like, as long as you know your stuff and you know where you're supposed to stand and you know your choreography, nobody's really like checking for you. And to go from that to being like at the top of the call sheet is a change in responsibility. And I don't know that I necessarily understood that at the time. It was a great learning experience and a time to get to understand that. But I made, a lot of mistakes. And I also think that people had a lot of really high expectations that I wasn't necessarily able to meet at the time, just with maturity levels and all that. And so that was a really tricky, tricky experience for me. So it was actually one of the reasons why I stopped wanting to act and sing.
Mm.
I left that show believing that my voice was not valuable. I left that show believing that I couldn't sing. I left that show believing that I was untalented. So it was a really hard experience, actually. Very hard. So no, not one of my favorites.
I thought maybe you were gonna say maybe Aida was one of your favorites, because I remember that was
Yeah. Oh my
that was
God. Aida
around
was
the
the
time when
best.
I met you.
I
I met
know.
you right after you had done Aida.
You did. I loved Aida. Oh my God. Aida was so
Aida.
fun. I got to play the headcut. That was right
I
after I had
know.
done Once on This Island, and my body was
Lucky.
tea, honey, tea. And I was in that mode. I was dancing and stuff. So they gave me a dance solo. I was like, okay. I feel like I was
You should have said Aida.
I was on it. I was on, but
Look
Once on This
how
Island
happy
really
you are
is.
talking about it right now.
Once on This Island really was my favorite. Once on This Island really was my favorite. But Aida was that girl. Aida was that girl. She was fun. It was like I wasn't tree number two. So I was used to being tree number two, but I wasn't tree number two. I was like
Right.
higher on the call sheet this time. My picture was up closer to the top. I was like, oh my God, girl, it's my time. So it was like my first, and they gave me a dance solo. I had a lot of singing solos. I had some lines in the show. People was watching me, girl. I said, thank God. Thank
Yeah, it's in
God
a
for the
beautiful
headset.
amphitheater. I've never been to that amphitheater out in Moonlight, but
Oh, it's so
you
gorgeous.
know, that's yeah. It just I love Aida, so for me, I'm like, if I was ever cast in Aida and it was a horrible experience, I'd be so sad because it's like one of the shows that I absolutely love to watch and would love to be in one day. Um, you touched on some contention in your cast. I want to hit on that in a moment as far as experiences as Black actresses
Yeah.
amongst our fellow Black actors. How has your experience been as a Black woman in this career pursuit?
I mean, the same as in any career pursuit, right? It's an uphill battle. Sometimes you're going to have to lose, as our patron saint Hannah Montana once said. But it ain't about how fast I get there. It's about how it's waiting on the other side. Okay? Because
Hey,
it's
no,
the climb.
right, right.
I'm so unserious. I'm trying my best.
Look,
I'm
no,
so unserious.
she is a philosopher.
Okay,
Give her props. You
there's
know who
always
else
going to
is
be
a
another
philosopher?
mountain.
You
I'm
know who
always
else
going to
is
want
a
to make it move.
exactly. Fantasia's a philosopher too. She says sometimes you gotta lose to win. Hey.
And she also said, if you don't want me, then don't talk to me. Go ahead and free yourself.
Ooh,
Another
well,
word.
I
Um,
mean, Fantasia. I love her.
Me too. Me too. She's an incredible
Sealy
entertainer.
to Sealy. I wasn't Sealy, but I'm talking about you. You
Hmm.
love her from one Sealy to the next.
I do. I do. But I mean, as a Black woman, it's always another mountain you got to climb. But I'm a
Mhm.
climber. I have climber's legs. Okay. I'm built for not, you know what? Let me not say that because God want to send you stuff when you say stuff like that. I'm built for the top of the mountain. Amen.
Amen.
But sometimes you have to actually climb to get there. Now, sometimes you hop in a helicopter. Sometimes you can hop in a ski lift. Sometimes you can hop on somebody else's back right on the way to the top, right? But there
Right.
are mountains that you will have to climb yourself and only you can climb. And I think being a Black woman for me is the most rewarding, beautiful, wonderful experience. I would not want to come back in any other body, in any other skin. I love who I am and I love what who I am has offered me, right? Um, because it's a distinguishing characteristic and people remember me because I'm stunning, right? And like I have this aura and energy because I think as a Black woman you also have to like talk your shit. Oh, sorry. Can I cuss on here?
It's okay. It's okay. I have all kinds of viewers. It's okay. We're all
What do you
adults
do? You gotta
here.
talk your stuff when you're a Black woman. You know, it's very much giving rap battle. Like, you have to talk your stuff about yourself, because if you don't big up yourself, if you don't hype yourself up, other people in the world want to physically tear you down all of the
Mhm.
time. It is often the world's most joyous activities to tear down Black women, right? But the goal is, to be able to hype yourself and love yourself. It's a distinguishing quality and characteristic. I get to live several different versions of, life's experiences. I get to experience what it's like to be Black in Black spaces. If I wasn't, if I wasn't like allowed to live inside of Black spaces, I don't know how people who are not Black are doing it. Like, best of luck. The world is unspicy. The world is unseasoned, if you are not, no offense, but like, Black people have a lot of great culture, food, music. Like, we are the cultural common denominator of American culture, right? Of global culture. We are often the cultural denominator, right? And so that part is really awesome. However, it's sometimes hard to be a Black woman, not because I'm Black, but because the world is racist.
Well said. I do want to move into this next section of the interview that I find to be the one thing that I'm really excited about to talk about, because I feel like you're somebody that I can have this conversation with, um, about the competition amongst Black actresses.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I want to be clear, I have been um, I've been guilty of it myself. I even want to say to you, there have been times that I probably was looking at you and looking at all your opportunities and was being jealous of it, and, being bitter because of whatever was going on with me and my career pursuit. So I want to personally say sorry to you for that,
Mm-hmm.
um, because it's not something that a lot of us talk about. It's underneath the surface. I feel it even when I go into audition spaces. I feel, the tension between me and whomever else I'm auditioning opposite of, because maybe there's only one role for the Black woman and in the play or whatever, and it's between you and me. And so we're obviously one of us is going to get it and one of us is not. So it's like, okay, here we are, it's on, it's that mindset. But sometimes it's not a kindly competition. It's very bitterness underneath the surface that you can feel. And I just wanted to talk to you about that. Have you ever experienced that from your fellow Black actresses? Have you ever been guilty of that?
I'm going to say something that sounds mean, but it's not. In order to be jealous of somebody, I have to want what they have
Mm,
exclusively, right? So I don't ever want what doesn't want me. Does that make
mm,
sense?
yes, it does.
Like, I want my own opportunities. I want what's coming for me, because what's for me is for me and it cannot miss me, right? Have I been have I been guilty of feeding into that idea of being pitted against one another? Absolutely. And the world works in that way. There can only be one Black woman at the top spot. There can only be one Black woman in the movie. There can only be one Black, you know what I mean? Like, there can only be one.
Mm,
And the more we play into and believe in this idea of scarcity, there's more than enough for all of us. And I would love to see Viola Davis and Taraji P. Henson and, Nia Long all in the same movie. Put them in there. And there's so many different ways to be a Black woman. Like, there's so many different ways to be a Black person, right? There are as many different ways as there are women, as many different ways as there are people.
mm,
Um, but because the idea of scarcity is something that exists so fully in our society, and that's like what we've been given, yes, of course I've fallen prey to it. But as far as the jealousy goes, also too, I let jealousy, like any of those twinges that I feel, be the guide to direct like my desire. Jealousy is
Mm.
an indicator of desire. If I'm ever like, ooh, I wish it was me, my next thought is always like, well, why can't it be? Like, like, God, like,
Why
I
can't
wish it
it
was
be?
me, right? So instead of being jealous, I've
Mm.
learned to allow other people to inspire me
Right.
because that's really what jealousy is. You feel inspired, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's really what it is. Like, oh man,
Mm-hmm.
that looks good. I want it. And you can either let that turn you into like this like green monster, right?
Yeah, with envy. Yeah.
Green with envy. Or you
Mm-hmm.
can let it turn you into this like inspired person who's ready to move forward. If you see somebody who's got an opportunity, you're like, dang, I want that. Why can't you have it too? There's more than enough for all of us. More than enough, you know?
I love it. It just reminds me of who is it? Dorothy. Why oh why
Right. Why, oh,
can't
why can't I?
I?
Look, girl was over here being jealous of the bluebirds. No, she said, I want it too, girl.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Let's do it
right.
together.
I
Let's
love
go
it.
fly.
You know, and it for me, when I have ever felt that way, I felt bad that I felt that way afterwards
Mm,
because I know what it was like when I was young. I
mm,
experienced a lot of animosity from Black actresses who were
yeah,
older than me,
yeah.
and it really tore me up. You know, my 21st year to my 22nd year was quite
Hmm.
hellish because I was dealing with um, just relationship issues with fellow actresses and cast and shows where it just the dynamic was off because I felt, like you said, contention.
Hmm.
And it was like, I'm not trying to one up you or anything, but it was just always something underneath the surface.
Yeah.
And like you said, it could just be that somebody is seeing something in you that you couldn't even see in yourself. I'm 21. I don't know what potential I have at that point, but somebody older than me is seeing that. And now being the older person, I'm like, I get it because now I'm somebody that I'm a mother. I'm not
Hmm.
working as much as I used to. I have
Right.
to pull back. There's other things that my attention is directed towards. My
Right.
priorities are not just focused on this career pursuit. So I get why you would look back at a 20-some-year-old who's got their life ahead of them. And, they're like, I'm going to go to New York and I'm going to audition today. And you're like, no, I got to stay back here and take care of my family. Like you could start to build bitterness towards somebody who has not done a thing to you because,
Hmm.
like you said, you want what they have instead of just
Right.
being inspired by their drivenness
Hmm.
and their grit that they have to
Hmm.
just keep pursuing. Because there's always going to be a need for a 20-something-year-old. There's going to be a need for a 30-something-year-old, a 40-year-old, a mother, a grandmother, whatever. These roles are
Yeah.
still going to be a need. You know, just focus on your own journey.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, I think people have been conditioned to believe that their grass is not also green,
Mm.
right? Like, and even if your grass isn't green, guess what? The grass is green where it's watered, right? Um, and so if you do look around and find that your grass is not green, how can you water it yourself? You're saying like, just like you just said, like there's all these rules that are needed, but if you don't see what you need, right? If you don't see something for you, the way that media has been democratized through
Mm.
TikTok, through YouTube, create your own lane. We have the unprecedented ability to create our own paths for careers in this industry. And I think that those attitudes that you're talking about come from years and years and years of our paths being dictated to us by what we look like, what we sound like, how we act, how we sing, what we do, right? But that time is gone. That time is no longer here. And if you want something, you do like you're doing, create a podcast or, have a production company like you do, like you create your own lane. You have the ability, the capacity to create your own lane. But a lot of people don't have the drive, a lot of people don't have the courage, and a
Mm.
lot of people are still letting their whoever be in the back of their mind, telling them that they're not good enough and they never will be, right? Because
Mm.
those are things that are also said to us that we fall victim to, right? Is the thought that we are not good enough and we never will be. But
Mm.
we are good enough. always have been. We are what sets the tone for the culture. We are what sets the tone for what is necessary and what is needed. And we always will be. Okay. Black women, especially, always will be the cultural denominator, what sets the tone for what is cool, what is hot, what is hip, what is whatever you call it, right? Black women are the mood. Black women are the moment. Always.
That's why I love talking to
Okay.
you. You're just so inspiring. And one last thing on that point, I remember years ago I saw a clip of Oprah Winfrey. She was talking to Alfre Woodard, Felicia Rashad, and Gabrielle Union and Viola Davis, and they were talking about the mean girl mentality amongst Black actresses, because Gabrielle Union was talking about how she'd been a mean girl and how
She was.
she was she didn't want anybody else's shine to diminish her shine, is what she essentially was talking about.
Yeah.
And Viola Davis was talking about how, and this was prior to even How to Get Away with Murder. I think maybe the first season of Scandal was going on, so there was really no Black girl magicness happening
Mm-hmm.
at the time in entertainment industry. And she was saying that Black women are in a crisis when it comes to, as far as actresses, Black women actresses are in a crisis when it comes to opportunities, because she said it's like you throw a cube of cheese in a room full of rats. They're going to claw at each other. But
I'm so
what? She
sorry.
did. She said that. I'm not
You throw a
kidding,
cube of
girl.
cheese in a room full of rats.
She they're gonna claw at each other, you know. Forgive me if I'm phrasing it wrong, but I know
It
she
was
said
good. I
something to that
loved it. That
extent.
was funny. I know that's right, Viola Davis. Be honest.
Yes, yes. And I thought about that, and like that was over 12 years ago, and she
Yeah.
had that interview with Oprah Winfrey. But I've always thought about that because at that point I had already experienced, you know, just animosity, contention. And I think that is also what has been supplying the mentality. It is this
Yeah.
scarcity thing that you talked about, scarcity on opportunities. And you feel like, well, one of us is only going to get it, so it better be me.
Mm-hmm.
And if you
And
get it, I'm gonna rip you up with all my words if you get
I'm gonna rip you
it.
up for taking my cube of cheese. Ah! No, but if you think about it, like, I think one of the best things that I ever did for myself as an artist was stop attaching my ability to support myself to my artistry. Like
Mm,
the ability to eat to my artistry. I'm not okay. I'm not at that point. I will say my creativity is a huge factor of what helps me to eat. I teach kiddos, and being creative is a huge part of that. But the artistic work that I do, the truly artistic work that I do, is from my heart. And eventually, I believe that I'll be able to build my life to the point where, because for a while, I was, acting, and singing solely. Like that was the only way that I was making money. And it was lucrative and I was very well employed and it was great, fantastic, right? And I also had a really unhealthy connection to this thing because it was like, if another actress gets that job, that's my money. That's my rent money. That's my rent
mm,
money. And so now I write, I sing, I act, and these are all things I do because I love them,
mm,
and directing is something I do because I love it. And I'm fortunate enough to get opportunities to do those things. I'm fortunate enough to get opportunities to create work that I feel proud of all of the time, right? Um, and I often am in pursuit of those opportunities, but because I'm not like, oh man, how am I going to eat this month? Like, I got to go get a job. Like, because I'm not like that, I'm
mm.
able to create work that is so much more expressive and really speaks to who I am as a person. And I can understand how it would be very easy to, especially when you're just starting to, subsidize your life through your art, to feel that kind of animosity towards other people who are literally taking the food off your plate, taking the check out of the bank for you.
As we're getting down to the end of the interview, I wanted to ask you, where are you in your career? Are you liking where you are right now?
Yeah, you know what? I'm at a very experimental place. Um, I think I've kind of finally hit on something that I really enjoy doing. And also, I'm recognizing, I think for the very first time in my life, how expansive and valuable my talents are. Like when I say discovering my qualifications, I really am just like throwing the spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. Like, and I'm having a lot of fun doing that. Like, I'm really enjoying myself. So I'm in a very experimental phase, and I'm gonna graduate from Cal State University Fullerton with my degree. And I'm gonna have a BA in theater, but I've been focusing a lot on directing. And so that's kind of like a really cool place to be in, like to be like graduating college, because you're able to do all of these like things. Like you can download all this software that they give to college students for free. You can like apply for all these internships that they only consider for college students. And I'm like, girl, I'm 30 years old, like able to access these like entry level career opportunities at a point in my career where I am sort of switching gears, right? So I'm like, oh yeah, this is actually so lit. Like, so I love that. I'm kind of just trying to create as many opportunities as I can for myself. So yeah, I'm really enjoying where I'm at right now, learning new things. I'm also humble enough to know that I don't know everything, which is another first for me. Okay. Another first. So
I
what
love
about?
it. Humility is a beautiful attire, though. It looks beautiful on people when we humble ourselves.
And I will take that beauty and I will
Yeah.
add it to my own.
I'm not, naive to think that you haven't just completely given up on dreams of Broadway, right? Like, if you could be cast right now in a Broadway show or on a tour, what show would it be that you would like to be cast in?
You know what? I want to figure out what the track for the puppets is on Death Becomes Her. Cause
Okay.
whatever that track is, I want to be one of the puppeteers on Death Becomes Her. I want to
I
figure
like
out
it.
how to make my hand move in a little puppet. Like, I'm ready. I want it. I'm
Right
ready.
on.
Call me. Call me.
Too bad you're not friends with Beyonce, because then you can get her number and then she can call Michelle.
I'm ready. I'm ready at any time to be one of the puppet people. Please.
That's great. That would be a great track. Definitely. Your
That'll be a
Broadway debut.
the person whose hand is inside of the puppet. Look,
Yeah, she's ready.
show me how to be
Your
a
next
puppeteer.
puppeteer is right here, guys.
It's me.
It's
I
me.
have experience. Please. I did Les Mis in France. I had to handle a puppet.
That's right. Come on now. What very well known actor would you like to work with?
Very well known actor would I like
Yeah.
to work with?
Yeah.
Can I say Aaron Pierre? Is that an appropriate thing to
Oh,
say?
she went there. The only reason why you said that.
Because he's Mufasa. No, no, I think okay. Like if I'm being funny, obviously Michael B. Jordan. I'm writing a pilot right now that I have written a role for him in. And the best part about that role is that me and him get to kiss. We kiss.
I am laughing so hard because
Yeah.
you are still in love with this man. It's
Um.
not funny. I'm just laughing because
Oh, laugh.
I thought
It's
over time, someone else would be added to that list, but you are true diehard. It's all about Michael.
And then
He's a cutie. He's still a handsome man and he carries himself very well. And
he does. He does. And he can carry me well too if he wants to. Anyway, I would also like, on a serious tip, I'd like to work with Black people. All the Black people. I'm rooting for everybody Black. Issa Rae is an awesome. She's like one of
that's
the
what he used to say.
look, and she's one of the the people who I find most inspiration from. So I'd love to work with her. Love to work with Spike Lee. I know he's a director more than he is an actor, but Spike Lee still acts. Don't let it pass you. Don't let it miss you. I like and I also think like Lynn Whitfield is so cool to me. I love her. So those are my tops. But Michael B.
Come
Jordan.
on. Come on with the Lynn Whitfield. Come
Yes.
on.
Yes.
She's still holding it down though, you know?
She
I
is.
love
She's a
I
baddie.
love I love to see actors continue to be able to act for as long as possible and
Hmm.
still do great work and show off their acting chops. And you'd be like, that's why they keep booking, because they know how to work this business, but also because they're rooted in some skill. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
What do you hope the future holds for you?
I hope the future holds an EGOT for me.
Ooh.
I'm like half joking, but I'm very serious. I also hope the future holds opportunity, joy, peace, care, love, hope, experiences, positive experiences. I've had a lot of negative ones. I think I'm done with those for now.
Mm.
I hope the future holds something special, something wonderful, blessings. So I hope the future holds.
Oh, I love that. I love to have blessings.
Mhm.
Absolutely. All right, here's the last one. You ready?
I'm ready.
Because it's a favorite one of all the guests. Gabby, do you like yourself?
You know what I say, Taj? And this is my usual brand. If I wasn't me, I would be standing underneath my window in the rain with a boombox, risking electrocution, trying to be near where I am. I love me. I love me something fierce. I love me something bad. I am down bad for me, girl. I love me. I'll be under my window. Please. Please, baby, please.
Applause, applause. I'm telling you, that's one of the best. That's one of the best answers to that question ever right now to date.
And banging myself underneath the window with the boombox. Okay. I love me.
That is beautiful. I love you too.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank you. I
so,
love you.
so very grateful and honored that you sat down and talked to me today. And I'm grateful and honored that all of you have sat down and got to watch this amazing person. I will see you next time on About That Life. Bye.